Hello, I've risen once again from my shed deep in the British countryside to bring you some more hand-picked, handcrafted, and certifiably obscure games. For it's been a while since I've done one of these, and I remembered it's actually worth sifting through the greasy underbelly of Steam just to see how satisfied you guys are with the funny little games that I dig up. Also, I want it to be known that this is the third revision of this video because I spent way too much time overthinking the games that I'd picked, and decided on 3 separate occasions that actually, they sucked, until finally I settled on the games that I'm about to show you. And please, forgive the tired, soulless voice I present to thee with. I just got done playing 12 hours straight of Ellen. Anyway, coming up we have Intergalactic Police Brutality, Czechoslovakian colonization, and another game that lets you alter the DNA of your servants. Without further ado, let us begin.
Welcome to Megacorp. You were likely found trapped in the hands of the Union, and thus gently relocated to safer lands by one of our talented peacekeeping groups. Things may seem scary right now, but please, remember, you are safe. You will be treated well, and you definitely don't belong to us now.
This is Future Breach 64, a very small, very cheap indie game about role-playing as an ICE agent. Looking at this developer's other games tells you everything about how this work of art came to be. His other projects walked, so game.exe could sprint. The culmination of years of making jank Unity engine games with a well-executed N64 style came together seamlessly, like union workers and a cage. I only made it to the tutorial before I realised that I wasn't working with some run-of-the-mill indie title, and that this was something truly special.
Press control to crouch. You cannot crouch in this game. Okay, now press space to jump. You cannot jump in this game. Good job on your mission after recovering from your brain damage. Go get some food and some sleep.
In all seriousness though, I think the game is very fun. I like a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, and lets you know right from the get-go. But what is this game even about? Aside from, you know... After all, the game does have a story, and yes, you'll love it. The game takes place on a planet called Gliese 581c. The only people to occupy said planet are Megacorp, the good guys, and the Union, the bad guys. You play as a Megacorp soldier, tasked with keeping the Union at bay via the liberation of innocent workers, claiming resources for the greater good, and slaughtering every single one of those red fucks that stands in the way. Sorry, it's just that this whole conflict between guys in blue and guys in red, it just gets me fired up. I'm not sure why. But you see, Megacorp needs said workers and resources for a reason. There is an asteroid on course to hit Gliese, and the construction of a mega ship is required to get everyone, except the Union, off the planet, and you have roughly 300 days to do so. This will not be an easy task, however. You'll need to make use of your hard-earned gold to purchase new Megacorp issue liberation equipment. Well, actually, I'm not too sure about this first one that's available. It's looking a little too red for my liking. Also, it's here that you can buy other important things, like flashbangs and handcuffs. Your acts of liberty and freedom will not go unnoticed, however. Believe it or not, the Union aren't exactly fans of having their workers, tampered with. Soon after your first few missions for Megacorp, those red-wearing bastards have the audacity to show up at HQ. And damn, okay, Union got hands. Yeah, fighting these guys out in the field is a walk in the park, until they decide they want to take things up on your turf. If this does happen, and things are going south, it's honestly better to just let them shoot you in the cranium, and let the medics patch you up. Otherwise, you'll be shelling out the costs for you and your entire squad's medical fees.
Megacorp reminds you that any inconveniences in the workplace, including unnecessary rest or ballistic inflicted damage, will result in a loss of precious company time, and or require payment deducted from your hard-earned savings.
I wondered to myself, one time, after coming back from a mission, where do the captured workers go after transport to headquarters? Well, I have the answer. It's some kind of futuristic seacot, but without any guards, which had me confused at first, until I realised no guards are needed, because nobody is getting out of here. Not even you. Though this made sense the more missions I went on, and the workers we encountered started to become more and more violent, doing anything to avoid being cuffed. Speaking of, things can get a bit rowdy from time to time, especially when there's a lot going on in the level. So much to the degree where the workers start acting strange, to say the least, and seemingly every firearm in the building gains sentience, resulting in some humorous body cam footage for the higher-ups to review later. Now, this is usually the part where I say what could be improved about the game, but I honestly think that this game is perfect. If you can put up with some jank, there is a good amount of jank. Although, the developer clearly had a vision and executed it flawlessly. Yes, there is jank, but I think here it actually complements the game nicely. It's like part of the soul of the game. If you go into this game expecting a well-made squad-based tactical shooter, you're going to have a different opinion. I mean, the game cost less than your lunch, and was probably developed with a budget of even less. So, I say, go in with some whimsy.
Serve Megacorp well.
And maybe commit some war crimes while you're at it. Shrot is a small real-time strategy game graced to us by the same developer of the critically acclaimed Shrot. But instead of Czechoslovakia, the game takes you to another planet, one completely covered in a dry, arid desert. The planet in question is named Shiza, and is a pristine source of wild-growing hops. The clans, hoping to make fat stacks from the planet's finite resource, have since lost all communications and have resorted to churning out as many soldiers and war machines to get ahead of the competition. And this is where the game starts. Now, I can't say I've played a lot of real-time strategy. It's more of a recent genre I've picked up, and I am extremely picky with what I play. But this one tickled my fancy, and after my first play session ended after 3 straight hours, I can conclusively say that this game is doing something right. I know. They call me John Game Review. It's very minimalistic, if you couldn't tell already. Easy to pick up and learn quickly, but with enough depth to still keep you engaged. My mind immediately went to Mindustry as soon as I saw it, and it does have that kind of vibe to it, of course without the factory building elements. It pulls off that chill, micromanaging, base building feeling very well, and will draw you in for hours on end if you let it. It also has that signature RTS feature of a voice line that lets you know about anything and everything that may be happening in your base.
Unit ready. Unit ready. We are under attack.
Difficulty-wise, it's fairly balanced, although the later missions of the campaign have you fighting multiple enemies, and they just straight up ignore each other. Which for the most part is okay, but if they both decide to send units your way, you can easily get tag-teamed. I also only played on normal difficulty, and found that the hardest part was actually starting. But once you had an established base pumping out a handful of troops, it was pretty much smooth sailing from there, unless you made some stupid decision and ran out of money. But I'm sure that won't happen. Okay, while editing this, I realized the review I wrote 7 months ago didn't once mention the music, so allow me to glaze. It's very good. It's a mix of techno-style music that fits very well with the setting, but there's some tracks that are very dreamy and slush-wavy, which do a good job of drawing you further into this arid, dusty hellscape of a planet. There's also a track called... The game also has LAN co-op, but I didn't get a chance to try it out. All in all, it's very well made, and achieves its goal of being a bite-sized RTS, and there's nothing that really stood out to me as being a major issue. Auto Dungeon is a roguelite auto battler / card battler, which, given those properties, almost put me off playing after I saw card and roguelite in the same sentence. But I decided to give it a chance after the combat reminded me of Card Wars from Adventure Time. It also had enough of a weird factor with the graphics and funny little guys that you can summon to fight for you, and it ended up being a lot of fun. You play as the summoner of aforementioned little guys, here to conquer the astral plane, defeat rivals, and purge anything that isn't a friendly NPC. Now, like I said, it is very much a roguelite, and plays like such, being quite snowbally, if you know what I mean. But you do have to be on your toes somewhat, and make sure to check that whatever you're about to fight won't do something crazy, like two-shot your best unit with a piercing acidic arbalast, killing it and half of your goblin militia in the process. Of course though, on the flip side, the satisfaction of building up a super unit of your own and watching it cleave through anything you don't like the look of is very nice. So, how would one go about doing this? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, each unit has a handful of stats: attack damage, attack speed, block speed, and range. Two of these, attack speed and range, when both are decently high, make for a potent combination. For how can an enemy hit you if it never reaches you? Another way to go about being an unstoppable force is to make a brick wall out of one of your units. Dwarves are best for this, and then have some unit behind it with a bow or crossbow to pelt arrows forward. Of course, this strategy does have a weakness. However you decide to conquer the astral plane, it will, in fact, take some conquering. The map is randomly generated, but there are set biomes, and the whole thing is pretty damn big. Aside from the common enemies, shopkeepers, and other treasures in this realm, there are a number of rival summoners, and 5 champions that you must defeat in order to retrieve your stolen rings. Said rings grant you a variety of buffs to help with defeating the other rulers of this land. I could go into more detail about stats, cards, and whatnot, but 1, I can't be bothered, and 2, I think it's better with games like this to learn things as you go. It's part of the fun, in my opinion. This game is honestly just a solid choice if you want something relatively chill to play. It's not too difficult to get the hang of either, though the controls can be a bit funky at times. Aside from this minor gripe, I think the game is pretty damn cool, and you should check it out if this at all tickles your fancy. NOMAD is a small action game about guys with funny legs and catching chickens that, for some reason, exclusively reside in active war zones. I stumbled upon this game while in the deepest trenches of a SteamDB search, and I got the same feeling of finding diamonds in Minecraft upon finding it. And just like a diamond, this game is small, simple, but very well made and polished. There are several game modes, but the main one is Catch the Chicken, where, you guessed it, you have to catch a chicken. But at the same time, there is a constant flow of enemies trying to stop you. Not sure who these guys are, but I'm going to assume they're this game's version of Future Breach's Union, because of course we can't be playing the bad guys. On the topic of bad guys, one of the selling points of this game is that the enemies aren't completely brainless. In the words of the developer, and I love the modesty here, they won't be completing your homework, but at least they are committing some sort of digital seppuku. Which is true, the game is decently challenging. You can't just be running and gunning the whole time, and you have to rely heavily on cover to advance. Of course, a game like this wouldn't be complete without some light meta progression, in the form of different guns, unlocked with coins gathered from your fallen enemies. Said guns range from a simple rifle to a war crime. Also, in the hub area are perks, all of which are unlocked from the get-go, and again range from simple damage buffs to releasing a pack of savage dogs. Now, I like this game. I think it's got an amazing style, and the gameplay loop is solid. But as soon as I started playing, I wished and prayed that there was more to it. I think a much more fleshed out world would be really cool in this style that the game's got going on. Basically, take this game's style, movement, combat, and everything, and merge it with something like Hotline Miami, in terms of story and how the levels are laid out. Introduce factions. Who do we play as? Who are the bad guys? There's clearly some sort of post-apocalyptic kind of thing going on, so what caused that? Why do we need chickens? I think that there could be a really atmospheric, intense, and tactical game come out of this. Now, will this happen? Probably not. But it is fun to think about. Other than that, I think the game is well worth the price. The combat is fluid, the enemies are fun to fight, it's challenging, and the hub music gave me Son of Raw vibes, so bonus points for that. Only minor complaint is that the arena layouts are pretty bland. I don't know if they get more complex into the later stages, but from what I experienced, they were pretty samey. But the cover they provide does the job. Again, if you're up for a fun little action game, I say this is a damn good one to get. I hope you found something that at least interested you. As always, leave a comment if you have any games you think I should check out. I may or may not cover them in a later episode. Also, if you're a developer and have a funny little game that might fit in a video like this, please feel free to leave a comment or reach out. Anyway, more content to come, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.